I figured I attended over 400 games. I always had the best seat in the house, and that was extra, extra special. Cherry Creek coaches, players, always had a lot of class. That's what really made it rewarding, just associating with good people. Hi, I'm Dr. Nick Cheddar, and I was the team physician starting about, I think, 1965 and continued until 1994. So quite a few years. During that time, I figured I attended over 400 games, and that was all home games, all away games, and I always had the best seat in the house, and that was extra, extra special. One of the really nice things was that I could bring some of my kids along, and they would get to watch the game from the sideline, also. And so it wasn't that I was always totally, away from my family. Actually, a number of stories. I stitched many a player on a bench in the opposing team's gymnasium. That I did that, and then we had a couple kids, and they would get dinged, and they'd come to the sidelines, and we'd ask them a few questions. And about that time, Coach Greibel would inform me, because I thought, well, this kid can't go back in. He's totally confused, and he would inform me that's his normal state of mental alertness. And so those kids, we took that into consideration. I think one of the things that really stood out to me over the years is that Cherry Creek coaches, players, always had a lot of class, and people would say, well, that was easy because you always won. Well, for many years, we never won a state championship, and just the experience of going to the championship, and as Coach Tassone would say, he said, I'd rather go to a lot of championships and even not win than not get in the playoffs at all. So almost every year we were in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this is an honor that is truly overdue. Dad had been here, I don't know, it's probably 33 to 35 years, giving of his time not only to the football players, but to the wrestlers and to virtually any student athlete that came through Cherry Creek High School. If they were ever injured, I think they had a free ticket over to my dad's medical practice, and the countless hours and time that he's given to not only the high school but to the numerous student athletes that have come through Cherry Creek. This is just such a well-deserved honor for him, and I'm so glad that the boosters have really taken it upon themselves to coordinate this and make sure this is happening finally.
It's pretty awesome. I'm very proud of my dad receiving this award, and it's long overdue. And Dad, I just want to let you know that some of my fondest memories as a child growing up were going to the football games with you on Friday nights, and that's back when games were played on Friday night, and I can remember it now. Going to the games, the smell of the grass, that's back when they used to decorate the goalposts and everything. And being 8, 9 years old, it was like hanging out and being around all these athletes. They might as well have been NFL football players, and it's some of my coolest and best memories that I have as a child. Additionally, I'm forever grateful that you did this, because more than likely I probably would have never pursued playing football in high school had you not been part of this and introduced me to it. And the reason I'm so grateful for it is the lessons that I learned those years on the football field are some of the things that I carry with me today, in terms of teamwork, attitude, hard work, and I'm just forever grateful for all those things.
So well deserved. I mean, just phenomenal to, not only to, Cherry Creek community, but, the Denver community, the Colorado community, the world community actually as a pediatrician, just world renowned. It doesn't get any better from, having them sew up kids on the table, when we were, just little kids in Orchard Hills, kids getting stitches and clearing off the dinner table, sew them up, and then we'd get back to dinner. So, I mean, and I don't think there's a family that's come through Cherry Creek football that, Dr. Cheddar hadn't done something for them, whether it be just strep throat, a laceration, to, who knows.
Well, my dad is one of the most renowned pediatricians probably in the history of Denver. There's probably no one, in my career I come across countless people that knew my father, or actually my father was their doctor, and they're always, "Are you related to Dr. Cheddar?" And of course I say yes. I'm his son. I think the reason my father did it is he just loves kids, loves sports, and he really just loved being around football, around the kids, around the program, and just really making a positive impact on the youth, especially at Cherry Creek.
Well, I have some cool ones because I have a different role than all of my other brothers. I worked in my dad's office every summer, and one of the coolest parts of that summer program would be the Cherry Creek football physicals every August. And it was great because you got to see all the jock dudes, I'm the man, come into the physical. And when they got to the finger pricking room, it was awesome, because they all kind of get nervous, a little bit pale, so it was a cool privilege to be able to see all of these, big time Cherry Creek jocks, brought down to their knees every year. So that I really, really enjoyed, and that was quite a production. I mean, he would, whip out 300 physicals one day, and head to toe. He was really impressive, actually.
Well, I always remember getting to the game, and there was a medical bag that my dad brought to every game, and when we approached the gates, he'd always be wearing his Cherry Creek shirt or jacket, and between that and the medical bag, they just immediately recognized that this must be the team doctor, and we'd get in, even on away games. And I remember oftentimes just how good of a relationship he had, not only with the other coaches, but the players as well. They really, I think, had a sense of belonging and security, that if they were to be hurt, he would be there, and they showed him a lot of respect, and by default, I got a lot of that too. I'd always get bubble gum from Rocky Martin before the games, and the players would always, give me a special, high five, or I kind of felt like they might as well have been in the NFL to me, because it was just that big of a deal. So it was a real privilege and a blessing to be a part of all that, and I just feel like my dad's service to the team and the community is almost like a ministry or something, that he was bringing an element to the team, but at the same time, receiving back in return from the players as well, the appreciation and everything. So it's great that they can honor him with this program.
I'm very, blessed of my dad and honored of my dad. He's, his whole life has set such a good example and has worked so hard, and not only has he achieved this with the high school, but he's also achieved many other, very, very prestigious awards in his pediatric, career. And so my dad is very well deserving, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to be his son, and have him as an example to look up to. So it's an honor, and I'm, congratulations, Dad, and good job.
Pete Pavlakis called me sort of a shirt-tail relative. My son John is married to his sister, and said I was getting this award, and I just have to say I was really taken back and probably humbled a little bit, and I thought this sort of brings to conclusion a very good relationship.
Came from from an all-boys Catholic high school in Pueblo, Colorado. I never like to leave an error go uncorrected. Parents and the kids and everybody demanded excellence, they expected excellence. We think that the offensive linemen are by far the most intellectual of all the offensive and defensive groups. I think some of the things I think back the most of are the things that could have been, the times we didn't win the state championship. My name is Jack Brookhart. I coached at Cherry Creek High School from 1970 to 1982. I retired for about 6 years, and then I coached for another 6 years, and then I retired, and then I coached for another 3 years. It was quite a shock because I came from an all-boys Catholic high school in Pueblo, Colorado. And so when I started at Cherry Creek, it was a little different environment. But as it turned out, the football players were all the same. They got the all same DNA, and it was a really, really enlightening, entertaining, educational. It was just an awesome experience to be with the football staff and the players and the parents and the staff at the school. One of the things I never like to leave an error go uncorrected. And so Fred didn't like that too much because he wanted to keep practice going, but if we didn't run it right, I'd say, stop, we got to do it again, stop, we got to do it again. And so we'd do things until we got it right. We always talked about where we needed to get our heads and our hands and so forth. And then there was the root, hog, and die, which was an old Iowa. I'm an old Iowa farm boy, and that comes from those big pigs back down there mucking around in the dirt, and root, hog, and die. That's we thought was pretty important for offensive linemen. The only thing I can say is that it was always been good that working at the high school, that the parents and the kids and everybody demanded excellence, they expected excellence, and I think the coaches did the same, and we're always prepared to achieve that goal.
Happy Jack. Well, one of the, I'd like to talk a little bit about when he came on board at Cherry Creek with his son as the head coach in 2008. What we needed at the time, I think it was a time when we needed a little bit of an infusion of toughness. And what Coach Brookhart did is he came right in, and those of us that had played for Coach Brookhart knew that he was sort of an old school coach, and you had to be very intense to play for Coach Brookhart, and he demanded that out of all of his players. And while he was a lot of fun to be around off the field, you had to perform at a certain level to be one of his players. So when Coach Mike Brookhart got the job in 2008, Coach Jack Brookhart came in, took control of that offensive line, and really made it one of the stronger position groups within the team. He did a phenomenal job of trying to bring back some toughness and urgency, a sense of urgency to the program. So it was great to be around him for that season.
Well, it's obviously a unique experience that I was able to not only play for my dad, grew up going to games at Cherry Creek, watching my father and Coach DeSone coach and all the rest of the staff, but also him to be on the staff with me and me be able to coach a lot of years with him. It's a very, very special relationship that I don't think too many people can say they have.
Jack Brookhart was a teacher of mine. He's more than a teacher, he was a good friend. He really, he was a solid individual all the way around. He taught not only the football athlete, but the intellectual person also, and respected both, and just highest quality individual that I've ever met really in football.
One of the biggest turning points in my life was playing football for Coach Brookhart. Granted, I went on to play in college and was fortunate enough to play some years after that, but what I learned from Coach Brookhart regarding, first of all, mental toughness. I was pretty soft as a kid, you know. I liked playing physical, but I was pretty wasn't very tough. And so Coach Brookhart really brought out the mental toughness aspect of the game to me. And what also Coach B taught us all was that the student athlete part of student athlete, the student part of the student athlete, we always got a history lesson before practice. We always had a spelling contest and a vocabulary test. Guys would come out and have to give us definitions of words. And so I love the fact that academics was a part of it. You know, we weren't just dumb jocks.
Well, I think one of the things I've always been very jealous is that my dad could always balance the academics with the athletics, being an AP teacher and also being a coach. And he was able to keep things in balance, where I don't think this day and age a lot of us in our coaching profession or teaching profession is able to do that. And I thought that was really admirable of what he was able to do in terms of the comprehensive teacher coach.
I wanted to share two things about Jack Brookhart that are my most fond memories. Jack, first of all, was smart enough to retire before our class got beat in the state championship game, 47-8 to Lakewood. So that's his finest accomplishment, I'm sure. He didn't want to have his name tied to that loss. And the second thing is, I understand that he always had a vocabulary word of the day for his offensive linemen. And the rumor had it that at the end of the season, they got up to 2-syllable words. I think they finally got there. So way to go, Jack. Congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Jack Brookhart, congratulations, Jack, on being honored this year. It's a tremendous accomplishment and one I'm grateful for. And you know, as linebacker, if we thought Rocky Martin was a tough coach, I always felt sorry for the linemen. I mean, you know, he didn't get mad at you. He just insulted you. He would say, you know, Dave Blewett, you're so ugly. No wonder you didn't get a date for prom. But no, he's a great coach, and I'm glad he was part of our state championship teams. Congratulations, Jack.
And I would just like to thank Coach Brookhart for teaching a cornerback how to be a guard. He ruined my life by making me a lineman, but he taught me a lot of life lessons, and I really appreciate it.
You know, there's a lot of B-isms, we called them, Coach B-isms, like root, hog, and die, which I'm still not exactly sure what that means, but it got us going. And he would recite the Charge of the Light Brigade, and then he would always tell us that girls weaken legs, and he holds his wife harder than we are holding or hitting the other team or at practice, or that we're horrible, you're horrible. That was always a favorite.
Well, they called him Blackjack. It wasn't because he was in a bad mood ever. It's just because he would plant, as he would say, his size 8.5 if anybody didn't get off the ball on time. He was really funny. You could always hear his voice a mile away, even though it's not a huge booming voice. A lot of guys are, but he was a pleasure to be around.
Playing for Coach was it was interesting. Yeah, after, you know, since I was with him for 3 years, starting my sophomore year, by my senior year, I'd kind of figured out the way to stay on his good side was to sit next to him and film, so when he yelled, he realized I was right there and he'd almost talk conversationally. So nobody else had to know about my screw-ups. So, but he was a great man to play for. He drove you hard, and he expected a lot out of you, but it was only so you would succeed and feel the success.
Talk about a coach that made a difference in my life was Jack. And when asked to do this, there was one thing that I had to share with everybody. Dip, lift, and drive, Bert! Dip, lift, and drive!
There's very few people in your life when you look back that make a big difference, and Coach Jack was one of those guys. He was always happy, always talking, always yelling. But one of those great guys that I think we all remember very fondly, all the times we got to spend with him. And that's why all these guys turn out here tonight to see him and see him get inducted. And my favorite Coach Jack story is we were playing East my junior year and caught a pass down the middle, playing tight end on about the 10-yard line, was running. Guy caught me about the 5-yard line, come running off the field. Couldn't breathe, just breathing heavy. He comes running over, grabs me by the face mask, pulls my head up and goes, "You're no Greyhound, son. You are no Greyhound." That's my Jack story. Love you, Coach.
Well, I feel really pretty humbled and so on, because really it's all the people that we worked with that ought to be inducted, because they made things so smooth and were so pleasurable, and it was really a good opportunity that made things the way they are now. So I think they're the people that deserve all the credit.
It was magic. Probably the best team that's ever been assembled at Cherry Creek High School.
An amazing team. We never, as a class, we never lost a game.
It's not so much as that we thought we'd win, it just never occurred to us that we could lose.
it was just a bunch of good guys that fought really hard together, worked really hard.
We had guys that were unbelievable leaders. We had guys that kept guys in line. We had a lot of fun. You know, the team was an amazing team. We never, as a class, we never lost a game. You know, I think it was a team that really had a lot of character. We had a lot of strong personalities. And from day one, that team was really destined, set as a goal to win the championship that we had lost the season before. And you know, it was a team that, in my opinion, really just came together all throughout the year and stepped up and made the plays and did the things that we had to do, game in and game out, really.
It was magic. It's probably the best team that's ever been assembled at Cherry Creek High School. Hands down, bar none, the most talented team. We grew up with all these guys from Little League and played all the way through high school. So it was not only a successful season, but one with a lot of fun.
One of the things that I think never occurred to us is that we could lose. And so I think that going through, and I think that as David told you, we, as a team, just playing with ourselves, we never lost a game. And that carried through all the way through that season as well. And so it's not so much as that we thought we'd win, as it just never occurred to us that we could lose.
I think when we walked on the field, we did think we were always going to win the game. I don't think we ever, you know, we knew there'd be tough games, but we really did feel like when we walked on the field that we would win. And I do think our team was very tough. I mean, we had some really good players, but nobody that was, you know, no big schools that a bunch of people went to. It was just a bunch of good guys that fought really hard together, worked really hard, had great coaches, and you know, I just think we brought a pretty tough attitude that we weren't going to get beat.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you start with the offense, you had some of the three best running backs playing together, and Mark Holmes, Brett Elliott, and myself, and then a great leader in David Page, and a good offensive line that was disciplined, and we just, you know, pretty much were out of every game by halftime. We just put up the points and moved on, and defense was a huge strength of the team as well. I know Shea Best you've heard from, and Jeff Tonkel, and Rick Rue, Maury Schneider, Scott Schmidt, all of them. They're all great players.
We meshed so well together. There wasn't one defining game or one defining play or one defining player or moment. I think it carried through all the way till the end, again, because we were a single cohesive unit that knew we were going to win.
Yeah, it was a team, in my opinion, that was you know, perfectly suited offensively for the players that we really had. We had three really strong running backs, and we had a football team that, and an offense that ran running plays for all three backs. We had some great receivers and great tight ends that when we needed to throw the ball, we could throw the ball to them. Defensively, it was just an unbelievable team. There was really nothing anybody could do against us, and it made it pretty easy for the offense because we really didn't only have to score maybe 2 touchdowns a game. So defensively, we were an unbelievable team, and offensively, when we put the ball in the guys' hands, they just knew what to do. I mean, 3 1,000-yard rushers in a season made it pretty incredible as a team.
So Fairview was a really tough game. I mean, that was a close game that we barely won. We actually had to get a fumble at the very end of the game to secure that victory. Another big game was TJ in the state semifinal game. We had several turnovers that game, and the defense was able to kind of hold it together and sim with the offense, but we won at the very end of the game, 22-19, so it was that was a really close game. I think that was probably our hardest game of the entire year, and then we had the state game, which obviously was a great game, but we that was in hand early on, so that I would say that TJ game at Fairview were our hardest games of the year for sure.
Locker room was crazy. I mean, the stories probably aren't appropriate to go into all of them, but it was where most of the laughs and fun came from. It's the guys not just on the field playing together, but all the camaraderie in there and joking around and having a great time. So,
I think my fondest memory is just as a class, as a senior group, of going through and running the table like we knew we could, finishing so high in the polls nationally, and really just dominating the state for that year in football.
Oh, I would say winning that state game was amazing. So,
you know, after we won that game, just being able to be with all the guys and know that our hard work paid off, that was great. You know, there's a pretty funny memory. We, a couple of the guys, one of the guys that just talked, we actually shaved our heads bald. And so after we won the state game, you know, we were, it was fun, but we were actually called a bunch of names by the other team, so that was hilarious. And I think just the whole season, you know, the guys were, you know, they're really good friends of mine. Still to this day, we're really close. We're a really tight group of guys, and just being able to play with them, that, you know, my whole high school career and growing up with them was amazing.
So fondest memories of Cherry Creek football is one, obviously love the sport, it's football, but more importantly is the friendships you make over the years. You leave everything you got out on that field, but really what you take away from it is the lifelong friendships. And hopefully for those that are in this room watching this today, they're here with us and celebrating this great 86 team and hopefully future teams to come.